Good afternoon. Today in the fourth video, I will be talking about the particular model of agroforestry that is being followed at Ashray, why it is being done so, the options available, and the benefits of uh, having trees within a farm. Now, just to give a short recall, agroforestry, I have explained in my previous videos, is basically having a forest and conducting farming underneath in the same piece of land. Now, the same piece is important, otherwise, in any case, both are very deeply interconnected, as I have explained in my previous videos. Now, here, as I take my camera around, you can see, or conversely, you can hardly see anything if you see from the top. This is because the canopy of trees is covering almost everything. In between, there are patches of land. I'll be taking the camera down below and showing how the farming is being done underneath. But from the top, you can see the whole area is covered with trees, and that is how I managed to have about uh, almost 300 trees of over 60 species in my 1.5 acres of land. And more on the models available, the options available, and which one is being followed here later. This here is another patch. This was uh, planted later, and I learnt more about the canopies of trees and the distances they should be planted in. So you would be able to notice that the trees here are at a larger distances. Now, what I want you to note here is the uh, entire lot of trees. The fence perimeter itself is fenced in by biofencing kind of a thing with trees all across. Underneath here, you have a layout of trees which are all mixed. They are not in the not of the in an orchard format where all the trees are of the same variety. There is a merit to it. There's a reason to it which I'll be talking about later. Right now here, underneath these trees that I stand, you can see a very healthy crop of arahar growing merrily. You can see lovely haldi, almost up to, in fact, higher than waist height. That is ambadi. Some plants grow on their own. I let them grow. Year after year, the seeds fall and they grow. In case they are not disrupting with the patch that I plant, it's okay enough with me. Then you have these mirchi saplings, mirchi plants. So this is the way that it is being done here. Now there are two models that can be followed while practicing agroforestry. One, of course, is what I am doing, because here the uh, size of land is quite small comparatively for farming. It is just about 1.5 acres here. If one has a larger piece of land, one can easily afford to have a separate a portion of it assigned, designated as a forest, and derive all the benefits of forest from there, and keep the rest of the land open for cropping other things. And it is a it is something which I accept here, that a plant which is exposed to 12 hours of sunlight in a day with attendant benefits like um, water and other things being supplied, it is natural that the yield of that particular patch would be higher. However, even this is not a big issue, because if you take the total of everything which is happening here, right from things which grow underground. Now, the creepers that you see in the background here, middle ground rather, just next to the tree, that is garadu. That is that is tapped the subsurface. I'll be getting garadu, that is purple yam, out of it. From there it starts. Then I get these crops. Here, these are the seasonal crops. Haldi takes about 6 months, so does mirchi. Then there are these trees, their fruits and creepers which grow on the trees. So if you take all in all, the amount of biomass that this piece of land would be producing would be phenomenally much larger than a barren piece of land that you might be able to see in the background, the brownish patch behind. Now that is a given. So even this by itself is not a big problem of having trees and farming patches combined together below the trees. If you speak to a conventional farmer, he will be horrified at this what I am saying, because for them a tree is anathema. For them, it immediately implies that their yields go for a toss. So he would just not agree to what I am saying. However, if you manage things a bit, now I'll tell you what. It is only the grass-based crops which actually require full 12 hours of sunlight, and that is how probably they got derived from grasslands, which I mentioned earlier. All other crops which come from the forests are pretty well used to lesser than 12 hours of sunlight in a day, and more than the lack of sunlight, it is the uh, root competition from the lateral roots of these trees that uh, lead to subdued growth of these trimester or 6 month long crops. And it's very easily one can tackle it. In my particular case, I had been lopping off the lateral roots as the trees grow. So there's hardly any lateral roots, um, about 6 inches to about uh, a foot below the ground. So you can see my crop plants growing healthy and well right underneath the tree. The second thing is to keep on chopping off the lateral branches as the tree grows. If you keep chopping off the lateral branches, the tree is capable of moving up. It can go up, spread the canopy higher, and the plants below this get more incidence of sunlight uh, as the sun travels through the day, because there's not much of branches preventing the sunlight from reaching the ground. So this also can be followed. However, in case one is blessed with a very large piece of land, it's perfectly okay. One can have a portion of it designated as a forest and do the cropping in the uh, balance of it. In this patch, there's more of sunlight because the trees have been spaced much more, and from here I wanted to show two aspects. One is my neighboring land, which you can see from here. They just harvested soybean, a monoculture plant which is grown for the soybean oil factories around. You can see there's hardly any life in it. If at all there were any weeds, they have been removed by glyphosate. Most of the insects and other forms of life, the insects would have died, and the other forms of life would have been chased away. So it's a barren piece of land, and if you recall what I was talking about, food has to be drawn from live soil, and this is what I mean by live soil. Here is Champabai harvesting kodo millets, and you can see the plethora of so-called weeds which I have been removing. One has to keep removing after letting them grow for some time, or using them as the case may be. But this soil is living. if I uh, just punch a hole with a pickaxe, I'll be able to show you uh, wriggling earthworms right near the top of the soil. And that is just one aspect. There will be so many other micro organisms living here, which may not be visible right now. But this piece of land is thriving. So, to conclude this part of the video, this part of the series, I want to again soak in the layout of trees. They've been there is say a neem followed by, that is amaltas. Along the fencing, you got sagwan, that is a timber tree. Then the three of them are katahal, guava, bear, that is figs or anjeer. And here is what another clump of purple yam that I was talking of, which have been guided up to the roof, and this will yield in quintals just from a small piece of land. Now the same thing could be done all over the ground, but since there's a difficulty in selling all this, so these are limited to places where I can handle the produce myself. Anyway, that was just an aside. And underneath you can see this is a variety of bajra. I've tried for the first time here. And another view of the haldi patch that I was standing inside from this place. That again has got sagwan and avla, jamun, katahal, mango, lakshmi taru, and so on and so forth. No trees are clumped together. Now this gives me two benefits. One, it is actually like a forest. It has been laid out in a form that makes it convenient for human use, so that I can move my bullock cart or tractor underneath. But it is actually like a forest. There would be a variety of trees, and forests actually don't have naturally made orchards. My fault. Forests don't have any naturally existing orchards. And the second thing is, since they are not in an orchard, it's very difficult for diseases to take root and spread. So that is it for today. I just wanted to give a view of a model of forest that I am um, using here as part of my agroforestry. In the next video, we'll be talking of the benefits of having trees, and there are many, and it's very important to understand how these trees are actually contributing to all that I do. Thank you.